Many thanks for joining us at this hour on QTV. You are watching QTV News and I am Ajibintu Dwame. In tonight's top stories. The National Human Rights Commission on Friday held a town hall meeting at Banjulinding to raise awareness on human rights issues. The Senegalo-Gambian Network of Women Entrepreneurs and Leaders, in collaboration with the GCCI on Saturday, took part in a cervical cancer screening to create awareness about the dangers of the disease. Muslims and Christians on Saturday jointly cleaned the Muslim cemetery in Joshua. About 10 stalls have been destroyed on Friday after a fire outbreak at Farafenni in Poste Highway. In international news, Ivory Coast is voting in a tense election after an opposition boycott. Tanzania's President John Magufuli has won re-election with a landslide victory in a poll that the opposition said was riddled with irregularities. Those were our top stories in tonight's bulletin. Do stay tuned for the news in detail. The National Human Rights Commission on Friday held a town hall meeting at the Banjulinding Youth Center to raise awareness on human rights issues in communities. Omar P. Jaro reports.
The meeting brought together officials from the National Human Rights Commission, the National Council for Civic Education, and members of the public to raise awareness on the establishment, role and functions of the National Human Rights Commission, complaints handling and admissibility criteria, and citizens' rights and responsibilities. Fatou Gueye, a legal officer at the National Human Rights Commission, explained the Commission's complaint handling mechanism and admissibility criteria.
Human rights are extensive rights, and we didn't have the mandate to hear all complaints. So we have what we call admissibility criteria. Like for instance, if the complaint is before 2017 January, we will not handle the complaint, because at that time we were not established and the act was not in existence. So sometimes we make referrals to certain institutions. We have the National Agency for Legal Aid to handle some criminal matters. We also have the Office of the Ombudsman for public complaints. And then we also have what we call the Labor Department for labor issues.
The program manager at the National Council for Civic Education, Yusuf Bojang, spoke about citizens' rights and responsibilities, with a particular focus on civil, political, social and economic rights.
The topic assigned to me is to talk about citizens' rights and their responsibility, and this is something that is very important. If we are talking about our rights, it's important that we also understand what are our responsibility. So basically, during my deliberation, what I was talking about is our rights as enshrined in the 1997 Constitution, and I made mention of several rights that are stated there. As citizens, there are rights that we are entitled to enjoy. And those rights ranges from if you look at Chapter 4 of the 1997 Constitution, it mentions several rights ranging from civil rights to political rights to economic and cultural rights.
Aminata LBCC, an investigating officer at the National Human Rights Commission, gave an explanation on the establishment, role and functions of the National Human Rights Commission.
In future, we'll cater to have more time with them so that they can raise concerns about issues that they don't understand, and with that they will be able to explain to them. And sometimes some of them may also see certain human rights violations, but they may not know the necessary procedures to take to ensure that those things have remedial action. But our comment here has given them that opportunity, and we hope that they will also share the knowledge with those that are not able to be here.
Fanta Sonko, a participant, expressed delight at being part of what she described as a learning session.
I
learned many issues that I have never knew before coming here. Now, I know how to report human rights violations like rape and others. I will also share what I learned with my family and friends.
The National Human Rights Commission became operational in January 2018. The commission comprises 5 commissioners and other staff of the Secretariat, headed by a chairperson. The commission is mandated to investigate human rights violations from 2017 and make recommendations, as well as raise public awareness about human rights issues in the country. Reporting for Qtv News, I am Omar P. Jallo.
The Senegalo-Gambia network of women entrepreneurs and leaders, in collaboration with the GCCI and partners, on Saturday took part in a cervical cancer screening to create awareness about the dangers of cervical cancer. More in this report. Early detection for the prevention of cancer is always emphasized during awareness-raising campaigns. As the Senegalo-Gambia Women's Network celebrated their 3rd anniversary, they deemed it necessary to engage in cervical cancer screening to support women, as they are the most vulnerable. Cervical cancer is the 2nd most common type of cancer among women in the Gambia. According to the WHO data published in 2018, cervical cancer accounted for 62 or 0.45% of total deaths. The age-adjusted death rate is 18.41 per 100,000 of population, and Gambia is ranked 35th in the world. Aja Aduletsi, the Vice President, Senegalo-Gambia Women's Network, hopes her association will collaborate with the Ministry of Health in supporting women to fight cancer.
The awareness is more important than anything else. We just want all the women in this country to know that the SOS does cervical cancer screening. We thank all the members for coming, and we hope that everybody who has screened here today becomes negative.
Sarata Konate, a representative from the GCCI, commended the Senegalo-Gambia Women's Network for their consistency in supporting women's activities. Rohi Bite, the Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Women, Children and Social Welfare, encouraged stakeholders to support women, including in the fight against cancer. She also urges women to do regular screening for early detection.
As advocates, patients, medical professionals, and policymakers, let us all work together to effect control over our health, because we have the capacity for change. The more we focus on periodic screening, physical exercise, and healthy diet and clean environment, the better we can prevent the disease. I will urge all women to be doing periodic screening to ensure that they are free from cancer, since we are better off if it is detected at the early stage to facilitate treatment and save lives.
Emily Sarr, a representative from the UNDP, had this to say.
This occasion is important. It's particularly important for women. Why? Because women hardly have an opportunity to take care of their health the way they should, because they are running after the family. They are running after their professions. They are running and thinking about everything else except themselves. And I think organizations that tackle women's health, tackle women's economic advancement, are organizations that are striving to close the gender gap.
Ida Faljob of the Gambia Women's Chamber of Commerce calls on women to do screening.
Cancer awareness is for everybody, and I hope all women of all categories could come and join the screening, which is quite reasonable compared to what they charge here and abroad.
The president of the MA Foundation, Fatoumata Jawara Dukure, commended the Senegalo-Gambia Women's Network and said the MA Foundation will sponsor 10 women to do free cervical cancer screening. The Gambia Women's Society Forum, in collaboration with the Foundation for Youth Development and Leadership, on Saturday, embarked on a joint cleaning exercise at the Muslim cemetery in Joshua. Ansuman Esonyasi was there, and he now reports.
Having embarked on a similar exercise last week at the Christian cemetery in Banjul, Muslims and Christians this time around converge at the Joshua cemetery to pay their respects to the dead by cleaning their final resting place. This initiative is aimed at promoting social cohesion, religious tolerance, and a sign of peaceful coexistence. Amongst those present are elderly men and women and religious leaders like Imam Jah of the Taqwa Mosque, who expressed his delight at taking part in what he described as a noble cause. Aisen Kah, a member of the Gambia Open Society Forum, highlights the importance of this initiative.
The motive is to revive our cultural settings like it used to be in Banjul and everywhere in the country. to encourage people to embrace each other and promote religious tolerance. We are a peaceful country and we must jealously guard it. I also wish to encourage young people to embrace religious tolerance and also promote peace. We are one people.
Representing the Christian Council, Philip Sen called on everyone to always put country first and look out for our neighbors, adding that irrespective of one's faith, we must always promote peace and tolerance.
This country is too small to be divided. The wall even is too small. We can all fit in and everybody can have a share in this wall. Everybody can be comfortable. But if one starts to bring division of any form, division even by gender, to say you belong to this gender, that one belongs, you are bringing division which will not be helpful.
Ibrahim Jeng, a member of Youth Foundation for Development and Leadership, says they are delighted to take part in this important exercise.
The reason why we are doing this is we want to show we want to build a better Gambia in which there will be social cohesion, build a better Gambia in which religion will not, there will be no segregation in terms of religion. Whether you are Muslim or Christians, you will all be treated equally and know that this country actually belongs to us all. Yeah.
Known for its hospitality and peace, the Gambia is regarded by many as a model for peaceful coexistence and religious tolerance. Thus, the need to support such initiatives that further strengthen our peaceful coexistence. Answane Sonyasi for Qtv News.
We'll go with a short commercial break. We come back, the news continues with more local stories. Do stay tuned. Welcome back. If you're just tuning in, this is QTV News. Still on local news, about 10 stalls have been destroyed on Friday after a fire outbreak at Ferefeni in Poste Highway. The cause of the fire is unclear, but some have blamed electrical fault. Here is the report written by Donaldson Williams and narrated by Ndaiso.
Eyewitnesses say the fire started around 1 a.m. in the morning, burning about 10 stalls before the fire service from Mansa Kongkong arrived, as there was no water in the fire trucks at the Ferefeni fire station. At the time of the incident, the shops were closed, the owners were at home. Due to the ferocity of the inferno, almost everything was burned to ashes. Meanwhile, the shop owners, devastated at the loss of their livelihoods, are soliciting support from the public. Market fires are increasingly common in the Gambia. Several stalls have been razed to the ground in the past at the Brikama, Bakau, Basse and Serekunda markets. Unless drastic action is taken to solve our intermittent electricity supply and also sensitize people about effective and safe electrical wiring processes, lives and livelihoods will continue to be at risk. Reporting for QTV News, I am Ndaiso.
Commercial vehicle passengers at the Serekunda garage are unhappy about the current $10 seized transportation fares following government's announcement that commercial vehicles drivers can go back to carrying for passengers.
When the Gambia confirmed coronavirus cases in March, part of the preventive measures put in place to curb the spread of the coronavirus in the Gambia included the government's announcement that commercial vehicles should carry 3 passengers instead of 4 to observe social distancing. Since that announcement, commercial vehicle drivers and passengers had an unofficial agreement for the fares to be $10 instead of 8, as the drivers were carrying fewer passengers. Now that there are less coronavirus cases in the country, the government has relaxed the rule, allowing commercial vehicles to go back to carrying the normal number of passengers. However, it seems drivers are reluctant to go back to charging the previous fare of $8. Fatu Diba uses commercial vehicles as a means of transportation, and she says drivers deliberately refuse to give passengers their $2 change, and she is personally a victim of this.
Drivers will refuse to give you your change of $2 deliberately and often tell you that $10 is the fixed price now. As long as there are less coronavirus cases in the Gambia and the fuel price is normal, the transport fare should be $8.
Auntie Mariama uses commercial vehicles, and she informed us that she has had several pushes and pulls with drivers in relation to them refusing to give her back her $2 change.
Driver mune ma $10 man $8 la mune fogane amulo $10 wachal.
I have had several issues with drivers because they refuse to give me my $2 change, which is very unfair. There is no money in the country because of the coronavirus impact on the economy, which is a reason why we have to support each other and do what's right.
Modu Samba is the chief of the garage, and he says that the lack of coins often makes drivers reluctant to give passengers their $2 change, coupled with the $8 being generally unfavorable to drivers.
Driver di ko def wecci coins bi too much coins bi mo ñu dé jël problème ni té coins bi légui dafa ñaka.
The reason why most drivers don't give the change of $2 is because they don't have coins, and even if you change $500 to coins, it will run out. To make it clear, most drivers inform passengers that they don't have coins most of the time. Generally, the $8 is not favorable. For instance, from here to Costa Road is $8, and the distance from here is too much to receive $8.
Modu Samba went on to plead with the Kanifing Municipal Council to help them improve the condition of the garage to make it more comfortable to accommodate more passengers and drivers. Reporting for QTV News, I am Jenna Basonko.
We will take another short break and the news continues with international news. Do stay tuned. Welcome back from that short commercial break. In international news, Ivory Coast is voting in a tense election after an opposition boycott and clashes over President Alassane Ouattara's contested attempt to secure a third term. More in this report.
The country has been in chaos since President Ouattara announced in August that he would seek a third term. At least 30 people have been killed in pre-election violence over the past few weeks, evoking memories of a 2010-2011 crisis that turned Abidjan into a battleground and left 3,000 dead. Ouattara, 78, was supposed to step aside after his second term, but his chosen successor's sudden death of a suspected heart attack made him change his mind. The opposition, including the 4 candidates competing for the presidency, say Ouattara's third term bid is unconstitutional and have called for an election boycott and civil disobedience. About 7.5 million Ivorians can cast their vote at more than 22,000 polling stations. More than 35,000 police security officials have been mobilized to secure the election. A candidate needs to win at least 50% of votes to win the first round. A runoff election will be held if no candidate wins a majority. Tensions are rising at a delicate moment for the region, which is struggling to recover from the coronavirus pandemic's economic blows as unrest deepens in several West African countries, including Nigeria, Guinea and Mali. The Ivorians Electoral Commission has until Wednesday to announce the results. Antoine Sonyasi for Qtv News.
Tanzania's President John Magufuli has won re-election with a landslide victory in a poll that the opposition said was riddled with irregularities. The story by Babu Kasise is narrated by Omar Pejalo.
The National Election Commission said Tanzania's President John Magufuli won 12 million votes, which is 84%, while his main challenger, the Chadema party candidate Tundu Lissu, won only 2 million votes, or 13%. Magufuli had been seeking a second 5-year term and promised voters he will boost the economy by completing ambitious infrastructure projects he started in his first term. Lissu, who returned to Tanzania in July after 3 years abroad, recovering from 16 blood wounds sustained in an assassination attempt, declared that the results were illegitimate. Tundu Lissu also said his party's agents were prevented from entering polling stations during Wednesday's election, describing Magufuli's party as a gang of people who have just decided to misuse state machineries to cling to power. He urged his supporters to demonstrate peacefully while asking the international community not to recognize the outcome. The election has been marked by internet blackouts, allegations of vote intimidations in opposition strongholds. The National Election Commission has dismissed the claims of fraud. An observer mission from the East African community said on Friday that the election was conducted in a regular manner. Voter turnout was 50.7% from more than 29 million voters, with over 260,000 votes declared invalid. The U.S. Embassy in Dar es Salaam have raised concerns about irregularities and the credibility of results, citing the overwhelming margins of victory. Press freedom groups and journalists have accused Tanzania's government of silencing critics of President John Magufuli ahead of the election. Tanzanian authorities this year suspended a number of media groups from broadcasting or publishing, raising concerns about growing censorship. It now remains to be seen whether opposition supporters heed the call to demonstrate peacefully or otherwise. Reporting for QTV News, I am Omar Pijal.
Before we end this bulletin, let's take a quick look at our main stories. The National Human Rights Commission on Friday held a town hall meeting at Banjulinding to raise awareness on human rights issues. The Senegalo-Gambian Network of Women Entrepreneurs and Leaders, in collaboration with the GCCI, on Saturday took part in a cervical cancer screening to create awareness about the dangers of the disease. Muslims and Christians on Saturday jointly cleaned this Muslim cemetery in Joshua. About 10 stalls have been destroyed on Friday after a fire outbreak at Farafenni Poste Highway. In international news, Ivory Coast is voting in a tense election after an opposition boycott. Tanzania's President John Magufuli has won re-election with a landslide victory in a poll that the opposition said was riddled with irregularities. That's all we have for you in this bulletin. Thanks for watching, and please stay tuned on QTV.